the ginger cat energy is very, very strong today.
Well, hello and welcome to Behind the Locked Doors, a podcast where sometimes we get stuff done and sometimes we don't. I am Scott Paladin,
So real.
and I am working on a werewolf noir audio drama called It Takes a Wolf.
Hi, I'm Sam. I am working on As in West, which is a sequel, I guess, to Unspeakable Distance.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm also working on As in West, which is the sequel to Unspeakable Distance.
Awesome. Well, I think y'all got more done than I did this week or this period. I feel like we disconnected from the call and then like immediately Sam was done with episode 1 of.
Yeah, that was like instantaneous.
Like,
I don't know what the fuck. Like the turnaround time was insane on that.
Or at least with zero draft, right?
Yeah.
Like the very first version of it, right?
Yeah. I wrote some words. They weren't even like zero draft like quality words, but I'm sort of fucking around with.
That's very important.
Episode
fucking around is a big step.
Yeah.
Right. Now that Sam has slammed that gauntlet down, I'm like, okay, time to go.
Yeah, I definitely felt the competition part of my brain be like, oh crap, I need to get into gear.
Okay.
Except then I got
Oh, there's a cat. Hold everything. That cat's so cute.
He just
biting mode.
The cat is
he just got
biting
fixed
Sam
a couple
right now.
days ago. So I was considering leaving his
Wow.
cone on. I took it off this morning because this was the day that we could take the cone off. But I was considering leaving it on so I could put him up on the camera for you guys with his cone on, because he would do this thing where he would sit
With
there.
the
I
cone
can't
on.
really describe it, but he'd look straight. He'd sit and he'd look straight up and he'd stare at the ceiling, and then he would sort of rotate his head in a slow circle, and he just looked like he was just high as it was just so funny. And now he's just so happy to not have the cone on that he's like biting everything. Anyway, I'm sorry to derail
I can bite
everything.
everything.
That's great.
Okay, go.
No, that's fine. Pet derailments are welcome.
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
it.
Well, on my end of things, I got slammed by some life stuff. So I got like less than nothing done. I am actually backwards again. I deleted some stuff that I had. I'm gonna bleep this for the audience or redact it because I don't want them to know medical stuff. But for y'all's, just so y'all know, I would like to reassure the audience that everyone is fine. It's just been stressful, but that it's not my story to share. So now we get back to the jabbering. For the record, the audience will be back by now, I guess. Well, I started the RSI in my right hand a few years ago.
Oh no.
And I solved that particular issue by switching. I use a trackball at work and I use a mouse at home, and just the difference of input method was able to relieve that problem.
Nice.
But like the other day, I started to get it in my left hand, which is my dominant hand, and also I can't easily switch input methods for the left hand because that's a keyboard. Kind of has to be a keyboard everywhere.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, what am I gonna do?
Fuck.
So like I've been like stretching every day trying to like make sure that, because I don't want to like I can't let this get worse. Like
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing that like you gotta bite it in the butt the moment that it shows up.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I had repetitive strain injuries in both of my wrists that one year when I had like a freelance job that I was trying to hit deadlines for, just trying to power through it is not it. Like you have to actually take care of your body.
Yeah. For the record, anybody who kind of struggles with it with me, the thing that I found for myself is that apparently my pectoral muscles are too tight, I think is the way it's going.
Damn.
And so pressing my back up against the wall and like doing the stretches where you like lift your arms up your head is the one that you look it up online. You'll find it. That's what's been helping me so far.
Yeah.
So.
Stretch them titties out.
Stretch them titties out. So as it stands, I've been living. I didn't get anything written, but I have been living with the story in my head. And I was like, you know what? These last couple of pages that I wrote, delete, and I'm gonna start over because it wasn't good enough. So I've got about a couple hundred words less than I started last week.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I can be excused because of life stuff.
Yeah, you've got a lot
One
going
of the
on,
guys
it
in my
sounds like.
writers group.
Yeah.
He is he's fantastic. I have 3 other writers in my writers group that are all substantially better than I am. But he has this uncanny ability to go into his like finished writing or whatever, and continue to cut it down. Just like trim and trim and trim and trim. And he just takes out all the unnecessary stuff, and he's left with just this like whatever it's called when you like take all the crap out of a diamond and then it's just the diamond left, whatever the cool word for that is.
The way I think of it is reducing au sec, which is when you take a sauce and you reduce it down to like the driest version of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does. So I was complaining one time, almost exactly what you were talking about, where I hadn't done anything for that week, and all I had done was like minus words or whatever because I had to cut stuff out. And he gave me like the trimming fat talk. He was like, "It's really, really important to make sure that the stuff that you don't need isn't in there. So even though you are minus words, it's still a thing." So
I mean it's progress. I'm changing some stuff. It'll work out better. It's one of those things where when the problem was I felt close enough to the end that I thought I might have a draft done last time we talked. And then I was like, oh yeah, this will be great. And then I'm farther away from it than it'll be better. I'll be half a draft further to being completed when I finally do hand it over to you guys. But like it was one of those like, dang it. I got ahead of myself. I let myself hope.
It doesn't feel good at the moment, but
well, okay, so you've got a draft of episode 1, and Jack's now working on 2 a little bit. Are you waiting on Jack for 2 before you leap ahead to 3, Sam?
I think I know it's the same question, but I honestly think maybe we probably want to take a second pass at 1 before we go on to 3. Mostly just to like standardize dialogue and stuff like that. But
get your foundations right.
I don't see why. Right, but once we've done that, I don't see why we couldn't blast ahead.
Well, on the note of having other stuff going on, I did not prepare any topics for this week's discussions. Normally I try to like be on the lookout for something, but this time not so much. Except that I know that both of you are Farscape people.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We're
gonna force Scott to this year.
I had an anecdote actually. Give me just a second. Talk amongst yourselves while I hold on just a second.
Okay. While you're thinking about it, here's help I need. I got squatted on a podcast title. So Jack, you were on Media That Made Us, and I did like a run of I don't know 7 episodes of that, and I own the SEO or whatever barely. But like in the intervening time since I've decided to do season 2, somebody else came in and started another podcast called the Media That Made Us, and I'm like sitting here going, I was technically there first. I don't think anybody would be mad about me just like using it and seeing just sort of fighting it out. But also like, is it worth it? Do I like that name enough? I don't know. It wouldn't be hard to like retitle it. I don't know. So I really do not know what to do on this thing. And it's like I was unexpectedly hornswoggled.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's a question. If you were to change the title in the second season, would you go back and like redo all of your intros and stuff?
No, I think I would do it where I would do it the YouTube style where you sort of gradually change things. So it would be like new title, and then I would mention it would be called something The Media That Made Us, right? Like as a subtitle. And then you can drop the subtitle later so that like anybody listening to the backstory goes, oh, there was a transition and branding here. Okay. And then anybody who's looking at it, from the perspective of here, it's like, oh, it'll be whatever the new one was. Probably the stupidest reason I liked that title was that if you take the first 2 letters of each of those words, it's meth mouse, which I thought was a hilarious acronym for it. But it's probably terrible actual branding for a real show.
Well, only because it's not particularly descriptive of the actual
it's just funny,
podcast.
But
but it is funny.
So I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to, I don't know. I guess I'll change it or something. I wasn't like super in love with that title. So maybe this is the impetus to come up with something I like a little bit better.
Using it as a subheader, the original title is a subheader.
Yeah,
I still provide you.
Just need something that's like descriptive, because it's one of the problems is that it's just an interview show about media that matters to people. But like media, honestly, I hate the word media. I don't like it. It's one of those things where like
Oh,
it's so broad because I do want to make it clear that like it could be anything. Like it could be movies, it could be music, it could be, you know, video games, all that stuff. But like media is also so broad it doesn't feel like anybody has an emotional connection to it. Like, oh, it's media. It's like content, like the word content, like it doesn't. Yeah, like stories would be better, but like it's almost not right. I don't know. Anyway, so
just name the podcast Stuff We Like. Just as broad as you possibly can get.
Stuff is not a bad word.
Like
I do actually like stuff. It's more casual, which is better for the media that made it sounds almost like it's kind of dry, and the podcast did not turn out to be dry.
Yeah,
it turned out to be surprisingly horny.
Before I knew what it
wet.
was about, like before I actually looked into it, when you were posting in the Discord, media that made us really kind of hit me as like news and like things that happened in your life, like events and stuff, and so, and that's always what like media sort of is for me.
It's not a good word. Okay, so I'm definitely retitling it because I don't like. I think it needs to be. Yeah, well, I came to you guys asking for advice, and this has been helpful. I'm gonna have to rename it. Stories or stuff, or like I don't know. I almost feel like it should be called like "Let's Get Weird About" or something.
Oh,
like,
dude, just do it. Like, no, because that fits so much better.
Blank.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Let's get weird about.
All right.
Whatever.
Fine. That done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Now you're cute.
Okay, Sam. I was filling time while you came.
I was trying to see. It's been a really, really long time since I watched Farscape, and so I don't remember anybody's names. I remember the basic like what happens, and I remember like if you show me a picture of a character, I'll get like they did this and blah blah blah.
That's the weird horny plant alien woman.
Exactly.
Who is blue.
Yeah, and I was like, and the weird horny plant alien that's blue. What was her name? You know, that kind of thing. So I was trying to figure out.
Pauzoto Zan.
Yeah. But I was trying to like get specific names, but really it doesn't matter because the anecdote was, I don't remember exactly how old I was when I watched Farscape the first time because I watched it when it was on TV the first time, and and I like I don't know. People that know me well know that I am not a huge sci-fi person, which is so ridiculous because I met you guys through a sci-fi podcast, and I'm writing a sci-fi podcast, whatever. But Farscape was cool, and it was like silly and fun and stuff, and there were horny aliens, which was very different from Star Trek. But what really, really got me
what, Scott?
I've just been rewatching TNG with my wife, and mind you, we are. I specifically cut down to just like the goofier episodes, and TNG is so much hornier than.
Yeah. Well, but it wasn't like in your
horny.
face. It wasn't in your face about it, and I was very, very young when I watched Star Trek. Yeah. So, but all of that
TNG
went over my head.
Fly under the radar.
Yeah, it went over my head. So when I was watching Farscape, the thing that actually drew me in was the costuming and makeup.
Yeah.
And I had never in my life, because I grew up in a very, very conservative household. We were homeschooled, like the absolute opposite of what I am now. And so the most makeup and the most like dressing up and things like that was like my mom would put on her makeup for work, like, and she was a nurse, so she didn't wear a lot of makeup. And then the most costuming that I ever saw was like our harvest party at church around Halloween time. So watching Farscape and seeing these costumes and these makeup was just like revolutionary to my tiny little gay brain. And it's really specific. I don't know why, but the way that the makeup artists did all the female or female presenting characters' cheekbones, it's like a very specific like way they did the contouring, and I was so fascinated with it. I would stare at people's cheeks when I would watch this show. I didn't really look at anything else. I just saw the cheeks, and I got so into it that I begged my parents to buy me like a costuming makeup kit from a costuming store that used to like be around where my parents lived, and I would just like go into my room and I would practice like making myself look really scary, like doing lots and lots of makeup with this costuming kit, and that I'm pretty sure that was the birth of my obsession with cosplay.
God,
and I still can't really even watch anything relating to Farscape without just staring at the cheekbones. Like there is nothing else in that show for me but cheekbones, and it's so dumb because there's so much boobs and like.
Well, there's a lot going on, yeah, in general in Farscape, but
yeah, but that's my dumb little anecdote about Farscape.
I love that. Tiny baby gay
great.
Sam.
Yeah.
Like,
I can think back, and I know what you're talking about with the makeup cheekbone thing. It's interesting how there's a different aesthetic for different shows like that. I fully just accepted that I will probably not watch Farscape until I do a Farscape rewatch podcast with somebody. And I keep saying that, and people keep going like, "Ooh, that's a good idea. I'll do that with you." But I need somebody to actually just like actually do it.
Yeah.
don't make me be the driving force behind it.
Listen,
but I will happily show.
Hey, look. If you find a good co-host who's willing to like watch the episodes with you every time, have me on as a guest, because I'm already in the middle of a rewatch with somebody else right now. I don't want to start back over, but I do want to talk about Farscape with you, so like hit me up for that.
Have some guests.
Have some guests.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can tell it's a good show. I got a recommendation from you, Jack, the other day, and like watched like some select episodes of the first season, and I'm down. I think it's good. I know that it's not like I do not have the time to dedicate to a whole show right now. It's kind of a lot of
TV.
Yeah, and like the amount of time I have to dedicate for stuff like, did I tell you about the dumbest idea I had that's like kind of also brilliant?
Maybe
the giant playlist I'm going through with my wife.
No, go on.
Okay. So, you're part of a couple, and if you're anything like me, you and your wife are always, or partner are always like, "Oh, hey, we should watch that show. Oh, that show. Yeah, we should watch that show." And you have this giant list of all of the shows that you guys theoretically should watch together, and that maybe you don't, because when you actually sit down at the end of the day, you're like, "Oh, let's just turn on, Futurama again or whatever." So I went into the giant media server that I maintain full of pirated media, and I was like, okay, here's all of those. We identified all of those shows. And then I made a playlist that is all of those episodes in chronological order by air date.
Whoa.
Wow.
So starting in like the 90s, and then like as things were playing, they will show up in different orders. And so we're currently working through some TNG and Batman the Animated Series and The Nanny and like Will and Grace, I think, is also coming up soon. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, you get kind of a little bit of smattering, but it's literally like 4 months of television if you just turned it on and let it run.
God.
So like we're never getting to the end of it.
Jeez.
That is kind of brilliant though.
Yeah.
I previously had tried this with just with the stuff I wanted to watch on my own. And the thing I ran into was it started too early. So I had to watch all of MASH and then all of Star Trek Next Generation just in a row before I got to the point where things started to play at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
And that was a bit
that was a lot of MASH.
That was a bit rough.
Yeah.
That was a lot. I was like, I need some more variety.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing this time. But
that's cool.
And I'm sure it'll be one of those things where we just keep adding stuff to it as it goes, and then it'll never
reach the end.
Well, I'll be surprised if we make it to the 2010s. Like, you know how that goes.
You're gonna get to Supernatural, and then you're just gonna wade through a sea of Supernatural.
No, I'm not doing Supernatural. I even
That's a good
like
choice.
with the Nanny. I even went through and was like, okay, all on IMDb, what are the like highly rated episodes, the ones that like people actually liked, and got rid of the rest of them, because
That's smart.
I was surprised at how much better that show was than I remembered it being. It's I like the main character way more than I did when I was a shitty little whatever 13-year-old or whatever.
Right.
I think she's kind of iconic and great. And also like the stupid male lead is not nearly good enough for her.
Yeah.
Like the whole show is about her getting together with this asshole who sucks and is very boring. And I don't understand why she likes him.
That's so frustrating.
Isn't it right? He's like the wettest milquetoast British man. It sucks.
Oh my God. Well, great news about Farscape. Both of the romantic leads are incredible. You will not for one moment experience wet milk toast from either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something to keep in mind, is like at the worst thing you can do is make a character boring.
Yeah.
Like that's the actual like greatest sin
Yeah.
you can make. Like they could be awful, terrible people. They could be trash fires.
Oh yeah.
And your audience will love them. They can commit actual war crimes and people will be on board.
Yeah, totally.
But like making them boring, no, that will not stand.
Unless that's like the point, because my oldest Oz, you know Oz. Oz, when Oz was little, she watched a show called Imagination Movers. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but it was one of those
Never even heard
dumb
of it.
like Disney. Actually, I don't remember if it was Disney or Nickelodeon, but it's like a group of dudes and they all like live in this factory together and they all play instruments. They have a band. We actually went to their live show. They are very good.
Oh my God.
But
Okay.
they have this friend, this girl that comes over and hangs out and, you know, solves mysteries with them. But she works for the guy next door and everything about him is beige. Like his office is beige. Everything is covered in beige paper. He wears beige clothes. He's like the most boring person ever. And like that works because you got the Imagination Movers who are colorful and fun and hilarious and they do music. But then you got the guy next door who's literally, that's his whole personality, is he's boring.
But that's like making it a bit. I feel like that's
exactly
being
it's
boring
a bit
by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I had to bring that up, but I couldn't stop thinking about the beige guy.
The beige man.
The
beige guy. Yeah, that's again taking sort of what would have otherwise been a flaw and making it into a bit, which is fun. As opposed to like where the protagonist in most media or most stories is the worst person because they're supposed to be like an empty vessel that the audience pours themselves into, but that correlate by correlation makes them just like not a character you care about, you know, like they're just the only one I can remember off the top of my head is Katniss Everdeen from the frickin'
the Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, yeah, which I didn't understand, but I was like, I don't understand this like she's just a person. Like,
I know, but I loved that about her. Like I loved that she kind of sucked and was just like doing the best that she could in a really terrible situation.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't strike a chord for me.
That's
Like, there's nothing, but yeah, like the generic like young adult protagonist character.
Oh yeah, like in Divergent, where she's she's supposed to be this amazing divergent character, and she's just sucks. She's so boring.
She just sucks. Well, she's boring. She doesn't have a personality, and the whole point of it is that like she's trying to discover whether she has a personality. And I'm just like, oh,
I like the idea that you could get to the end of a multi-book series, and the answer is no.
You don't. Yeah. You still don't. It's been 4 books. I'm asleep. Like, I don't care.
That first Divergent movie is still a really fun movie to throw on when like I have friends over and we may possibly be inebriated, because the funniest thing about that movie is like they work so hard. That black team works so hard and they train and they're just constantly like military-esque, you know, and then they do that to jump on a train.
Yeah.
The end. Like
jump on one train.
They jump on it.
So much
build God.
And then
jump
doesn't go anywhere.
It's incredible.
Well, they wanted the cool like punk goth like faction, but they only wanted it for the aesthetic. It wasn't for any particular.
Don't use them as a police force. Don't use them as like you know, to help other people carry things or you know
or
fix
whatever.
Stuff. No, you need to jump on a train that's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Great series.
Hey, listen, here's the thing. I really respect the effort it takes to write and publish a book in general. Like, even if I don't think it's good, but I don't think those books are good.
They're not good.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about the other day about the idea of good, because it's such a terrible term sometimes, because sometimes things that are bad are also good, but it's more about like, are they doing what they're setting out to do, like establishing getting to their goal, you know, where it's like, it's not like, if something is not meant to be like high-minded and I don't know, if it's supposed to be kind of trashy, then and it does that, then like that is still super enjoyable. But like whether or not something, and then sometimes things set out to accomplish with goals in mind that they don't achieve, but it's still also amazing. Thinking of stuff like The Room, you know, where like it's so far off of its own goals that it like becomes outsider art almost. So there's this like strange like a grid quadrant thing where you've got like things that are well crafted and like are accomplishing all of the things they set out to do, and then you have things that are like terribly crafted, and then you have things that are like enjoyable, and then things that are like not enjoyable.
Yeah, there's like a
it's like,
four-way grid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anybody here seen the movie Sucker Punch?
Yes.
Oh my God.
'Cause
I could talk about Sucker
I
Punch.
could also
for a
talk
long
about
time.
Sucker Punch all
I could give a
day.
TED talk on Sucker Punch.
Yeah. Oh my God. My thesis is that Zack Snyder has never made a good movie on purpose.
Yes, that's exactly it. I think he made that movie by accident. Like,
He absolutely
I watched
did.
it,
Yes.
like, I watched that movie, and then I sat there for a second, and then I put it on from the beginning and watched it again, and then I was like,
Yes.
okay, no, I think this was an accident. It's incredible,
no,
but he
100%.
didn't mean it to be incredible.
And like it's kind of a mean movie.
Yeah.
Like it's a movie that doesn't like itself or its own audience or possibly anybody who's creating
Yes.
it. Like
It's a very
the story
cruel
is so
movie.
strange. Yeah. And it nonetheless has some of the most like the 3 or 4 fight scenes that are in like where they've gone like 4 levels deep in fantasy or whatever, and now we've got our main characters, just wearing cool outfits with guns and swords fighting weird shit. Those 4 segments are like, they're like almost perfect cinema for what they are trying to accomplish.
And also you can count the panty shots like going by. You can like tally them up in as the film continues.
And all of the decisions are made for purely aesthetic reasons in those sections. Like they're not trying to say anything. Like those things are just pure like
it's
they're just pure
only.
like hedonistic
It's the
indulgence.
closest.
But
it's the
it
closest.
is saying things. Like it's so crazy. Oh my God.
But then you go up one level of fantasy to like the bordello, where now that recontextualizes these things which are which say nothing into into an extreme indictment of those segments that don't do anything. And then you go up one segment from that and you have another level of reality that is indicting both of the previous ones, but like just sucks. It is the worst place. Like it's the only place the audience doesn't want to be. It has no style or substance. And there's like every moment that you're in that reality on screen, the audience is like, oh fucking hell.
Oh my God, I don't want to be here. It sucks. And it's like, that's the point.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the closest I think that a Western thing has ever gotten to anime. Like I walked out, I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, kind of.
I saw it in the theater and I came out of the theater and I was like, oh, we finally did it. We finally made an anime.
Oh my God.
And right down to like, I don't know what it thinks it's saying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And then it's got like, okay, I have the same argument with all video games that complain about the violence in video games while also having lots of violence.
Yeah.
The Last of Us Part 2 did this. The one that everybody really loves.
The one that everybody
loves. It's a retelling of Heart of Darkness again.
I'm trying, Scott.
About every 5 years, somebody makes a video game where like they get to the end of the game and they're like, "Aren't you the real villain for playing this game that killed all these people?" And my response is like, "You made the game.
You did that.
You made it. I didn't make this game. All of the decisions about how violent are up to you, not me. Do not foist your morality on me. You spent a lot of time and an incredible amount of money and so many man hours making all of this like blood and viscera, and then you're going to complain to me about playing it? Fuck you. And that's kind of how I feel about Sucker Punch as well. It's like you spent millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars on this, and you're going to like indict me as the audience goer for showing up to this like this party that you threw.
I remember Googling frantically after watching this movie twice back to back, trying to find interviews of anybody who made it to tell me whether or not they made this movie on purpose. And I couldn't figure it out. Like I watched a whole bunch of interviews where like the actors who were in it were saying, oh yeah, I think it's a really interesting commentary on feminism and blah, blah, blah. But they didn't really get into it. And I'm like, I don't think it was on purpose.
Yeah.
I think they made this whole fucking movie by accident. So crazy.
And everything I've ever seen about Zack Snyder, like in interviews and stuff, he just doesn't think.
Yeah, I just think his brain is a smooth head empty.
I think he's got a smooth billiard ball brain that is only concerned with aesthetics. Only concerned with the aesthetics. Absolutely. And then everything else that happens is just like
incidental.
it's like the work of either what he's adapting or the people around him or just pure chance.
Yeah.
Because like 300, his other
Right.
one of his other big claims to fame doesn't have anything to say that isn't already there in the comic book. Basically,
that's so true.
As far as I can tell,
It's all slow-mo and lens flare, and that's it.
Yeah. And a like slavish adherence to trying to recreate the comic book, like frame panels from it, including, which creates a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I
with
don't
lots of stuff
actually
going
have
on.
any complaints
like,
about that movie either.
Yeah, but like nonetheless, all of the flaws of that movie are just directly translated from the comic book. And then when you get to Watchmen, it's like, ooh, you didn't do any thinking about this. Like, this is just like you just took this and made it into a movie and then cut some stuff out, and then you didn't like actually think about this at all. It's just a thing you made. Okay, great.
Yeah, Sucker Punch very much feels like Zack Snyder did not think while it was being created. However, I think about that movie constantly. So is it good? By my standards, it's amazing. But is it like what he set out to do? Maybe also yes, but totally unrelated to it being good.
Who knows?
I don't know. That is a movie. In a way, that movie absolutely succeeds on like giving you things to talk about and like living inside of your brain.
Yeah.
And it's just because it makes so many bold choices and weird decisions and just commits to them, which is admirable in a way.
Yeah. And it's one of like the scariest Oscar Isaac performances I've ever seen. Really
he's
incredible.
So good in that.
So good.
Yeah. Honestly, the performance, like I can't fault any of the actors.
No, absolutely not. They all did incredible.
And like they did incredible. They did a bunch of their own action work and stunt work and stuff. And like the visual effects artists did an amazing job. The aesthetics of that movie are amazing.
They're amazing.
I just don't understand the movie.
I don't know how we got there. I don't know how that movie came about. It doesn't make any sense.
But I'm thankful every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Let's do a what is it? Let's get weird about Sucker Punch, where we just talk about Sucker Punch for 2 hours.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Sign me up for Sucker Punch for
we'll do
2
that.
hours.
Jeez. Honestly, if the three of us wants to go do Sucker Punch,
I want to do Sucker Punch
this week in their neck. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I need to watch it again and prepare.
No, if you ever had me on Let's Get Weird About, I probably would want to talk about the Goonies. Actually.
Oh, fair.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
The Goonies is.
If you want to do the Goonies, please.
Is the movie that shaped my entire existence, I think. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we'll do Sucker Punch with Jack, and Sam, you'll do the Goonies if we can find a slot. I'll add you guys to the list.
Okay. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Cool. Well, okay. So I guess back to the things that we're supposed to be on this call talking about, not the other podcast.
Hey, this is a show about us making other podcasts, so technically we're still on topic.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to segue us back to setting some goals.
You were doing great. Good job.
Yeah. I was trying so hard. That's fine. Okay, so do y'all want to set goals for the next 2-week period?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask probably Sam some setting and style questions, and then I'm gonna get Sam a draft of episode 2 before next time.
Okay, so 2 weeks you want to have your draft done. Okay, cool. On that note, I am going to also try my darndest to have episode 1, a draft of episode 1 done.
Nice.
I'm hoping that once I've got one episode in the can, that makes all of the decisions I've made in like part of the problem with one is I have to make all these decisions that will have ramifications down the line. Hopefully, now that I'll make those, the next ones will go faster. But I'm going to try really hard. We'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah, once you're out of the like spelunking phase of this project, then you can sort of full steam ahead.
Yeah. Hopefully. I'm hoping. So, all right, cool. So hopefully we'll have 2 episodes in 2 weeks, and we will talk again. Or 3 episodes, because you've already got 1.
Yeah, so. Sam just whipped that sucker out.
Yeah, so, I am glad that I did, because the rest of this month is absolutely not going to be for As and West.
That's so fair.
I have editing and I have another audiobook, so
you're good. Yeah. It's on my it's in my court now.
Yeah.
No worries.
All right, great. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks or less, depending on other projects. Thank you for joining us for Behind the Locked Doors, a library of cursed knowledge, production, podcast thing. I don't know. If you are interested in any of these projects, you can head over to library.horse, which will eventually redirect to a webpage once I make it, If you want to support the podcast, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/cursed knowledge. See y'all next week. No, wait. See y'all in 2 weeks.